I'm gonna show you how good Auto HDR from Windows 11 is looking on this IPS monitor that is HDR but not really. So this is only 350 nits maximum peak brightness, and using the Windows 11 calibration app, the HDR calibration app, the results here are phenomenal. This is looking so good, man, so good. Of course, this is not OLED black levels and contrast, of course not. It's not even close to the peak brightness. But does it look better than SDR? Absolutely. And especially, it is perfectly calibrated now with that Windows HDR calibration app, so you don't get any black crush. You have perfect visibility on the shadows, and the highlights are not popping, of course, the same way it's going to pop on the OLED. It's not gonna give you that eye strain that feels so realistic. It feels so much more closer to reality. You know, when you see the sun, it strains your eyes, so you don't want to look at it. You don't get that effect, that pop, but it looks better than SDR. So I'm gonna show you the calibration app. I'm gonna show you the settings on this IPS monitor and give you the model and the details. But my point on this video is, if you have one of these lower end HDR displays, definitely give it a try. Definitely try that Windows 11 calibration app in your Auto HDR, because in my opinion the results are fantastic. And I see a lot of reviews telling you, oh, this monitor is just fake HDR, don't use it, it is terrible. It is fake HDR. You need up to 600 nits, you need a much better contrast. But if you have this monitor, or something even a little bit better, I mean, it doesn't get any worse than this. This monitor is a Pixio px275h, okay? This is a 1440p monitor, 95 Hz with FreeSync, and the HDR peak brightness is 350 nits, okay? Only 350 nits, but it is looking fantastic. And at the end of the video, I'm going to close the lights, I'm gonna turn off the lights and show you the screen closely so you can see it better. And what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna show you the HDR calibration app, show you the settings on the monitor, and just talk a little bit about that. So let me change to Windows so we can see the calibration app, and I'm gonna show you the settings on the monitor. So basically, this monitor, we just need to go to the settings here, go down to other, and turn on HDR. That's it. Just turn on HDR, and I have FreeSync on, and that's it. You don't need to do anything else. Oh, the other thing is here on the brightness, color temperature, warm. That's it. That's the only setting I touch. Yeah, just that. Color temperature, warm, and you don't have to touch anything else. So here on the Windows HDR calibration app, what I'm gonna do is I'm just going to hit here, get started, and when I go down to 0, you see, of course, the black level now looks horrible because I have lights. Let me just close the curtain so it improves a little bit. So what you see here, and I was actually surprised by this, when I lower this to 0.03, 0.01, I can still see the logo. So I can still see the logo. I was expecting this to not be visible at such a low black level, but I can actually see it very close to 0. So then you just turn this down to 0. I was expecting on an IPS monitor to have to raise this black level a little bit, but I don't have to. So what this means is that you are going to get perfect visibility on the shadows. Okay, the screen is not going to look as black as an OLED TV, but it's not going to crush details on the shadows. At least you're gonna see everything. So then here we hit next, and of course on the recording it looks blowing out, what I do here is 300, and on 300 I see that the pattern clips, so I'm just gonna do 300 on the next two screens, and that's it, and leave the colors on the default position. So now let me actually move the screen and show you the game a little bit better, and I'm gonna show you also Batman Arkham Knight, so you see that the face of Batman is visible. So let me get it as close as possible. Okay, so let me show you the game. See here, the shadow detail is perfect. Like I can see it, I can see everything on the shadows. Also, this monitor has 95% of DCI-P coverage, so it is wide color gamut. I mean, it's not spectacular. Actually, I'm not sure if it's wide color gamut. You need to cover, you need a certain percentage of Rec 2020 coverage to be considered a wide color gamut. I don't remember exactly, but 95% of DCI-P3 is not bad. Auto HDR from Windows 11 is not pushing colors from Rec 709 anyway. This is basically just most of the colors, if not all of them, are inside Rec 709, so it doesn't make any difference anyway. So, but the HDR range here is spectacular. There's no problem. There's no crushing. I can see everything, and it looks so much better. It looks better than SDR 100%. So, if you have one of these monitors that is not a higher end HDR display, try that HDR calibration from Windows, because it does look better. It does look much better, and especially because it is calibrated, you are gonna be able to see all the details, all the shadow details. There's no problem with the visibility, so you don't get, you know, spectacular highlights. Everything is not popping like on the OLED, but there's nothing that crushes. The colors are beautiful, and it's a much better result in my opinion. This is looking, I was actually impressed with how look this was looking. So let me show you the game during the day. If I if I go down, so you see how it looks during the day. We go back to the main menu and open it again, so I can show you the game during the day. It looks very, very nice, and I'm gonna show you Batman face to finish the video, so you can see that there's no black crush, and you can see all the shadow detail. So this monitor, it's actually during the night. It's in the same place. So this monitor actually, what I'm not liking it is the input lag. Man, this is feeling like almost like the OLED using motion interpolation. I'm gonna do a comparison video. I'm gonna have this monitor at 60, and then I'm going to use interpolation on the OLED, and I'm going to compare the input lag, because actually I think the OLED, even with interpolation, is better than this. So some people sometimes say, oh, I cannot play with that, such a high input lag. This is a gaming monitor, and I think the interpolation on the OLED still feeling similar, at least. So I'm gonna do a separate video about that. Let me show you Batman's face. Let me close this. I'm gonna show you Batman. If we can see Batman's face, man, that's the ultimate that's the ultimate shadow detail test. It's just it's a very low luminance example, and if you can see Batman's face, that's all you need. When I use black frame insertion, I struggle to see Batman's face there. And I'm gonna do a separate video about calibrating the HDR to use black frame insertion, this auto HDR, because actually I have some recommendations there, so you get better visibility on the shadows. Let's see Batman's face. And again, this is a low end. It doesn't get any lower end than this on HDR. 350 nits. I mean, there are some monitors are HDR 400, HDR 600. So yeah, and some of those monitors, somebody asked me a question in the comments the other day about a 600 nits IPS monitor, and I did my research, and that monitor actually does over 700 nits. So always do your research. So let me grab the camera with my hand so you see how good is the visibility of that Batman's face. It is just amazing. Look at that. Look at that. It is absolutely perfect. So the black level is terrible. I mean, this is not black at all. This is not black. You see the light, but at least look at that. You have the shadow detail. It is perfect. Perfect shadow detail. You don't lose any details. And like I said, this is one of the darkest examples of a game that I've ever seen. If you can see Batman's face, you know the calibration is just perfect. So this is looking very good, man. If you have an IPS monitor, let me know how is that auto HDR from Windows 11 working for you right now with that update, especially with that 0 nits update, and let me know your experience.